I asked ChatGPT to draw me up a plan to eat the standard American diet, SAD, SAD, for a day. Here's what it came up with. Breakfast: avocado toast or a cream cheese bagel. Two quintessentially American breakfasts you'll find at pretty much every single cafe in New York City. While I didn't get around to any avocado toast, I did have an avocado bacon toasty with an egg on top. But the cream cheese bagel, that's definitely one I had multiple times during my week in New York City. It's a classic New York, dense, grab-and-go staple, a legacy of its immigrant history. Honestly, chef's kiss. So good, so satisfying, nice and warm bread, creamy vegan tofu-based cheese on a cold day, because we had quite a few cold and very wet days. I'm pretty sure I had a bagel every single day. With all of the perfect, balanced breakfast bowls you see on social media, I think a breakfast like this can be the perfect way to de-influence my life, to show what a real life breakfast can and does look like, and that it doesn't need to be or look perfect or be perfectly balanced to be tasty, satiating, and a solid breakfast option. In recovery from my anorexia and orthorexia, this breakfast though would have brought up a lot of questions for me. Is that too many carbs to start the day with? Isn't bread full of sodium? Is this balanced enough? Where's the protein? Is this too much? Or maybe, is it not sufficient for a full and balanced breakfast, and is it not going to have lasting power? The thing with all of these questions is, it doesn't really matter. If this breakfast is very filling, maybe I won't have a snack, or I'll have a smaller snack, or I'll have a later snack. Or if it's not filling enough, I'll have a bigger snack, another breakfast, an earlier lunch. That flexibility, to me, is exactly what defines recovery. Also, if the breakfast is carb heavier than usual, or has less protein than usual, who cares? Honestly, it's great to balance out those meals, especially in the initial stages of recovery as you tune back into your body's needs. But not every meal needs to be balanced. I don't think we need to get super anal about this either, because the body knows what to do with food. This breakfast, a good source of carbohydrates for energy, protein for satiety and muscle building, fats for hormone balancing, and so much more, to me, was perfect. And not because of these macronutrients, but because it was satisfying, because it was satiating, and because it was part of the travel experience. Food can be such a big part of the travel experience, and it's so sad that the eating disorder made me miss out on that on so many occasions. Anyway, I had bagels, lots of them, because apparently it's illegal to go to New York without having at least one. I didn't ask any questions. For lunch, ChatGPT suggested the standard burger and fries combination. Proper diner fast food experience. And guess what? I didn't actually have a single burger or fries during the entire trip. Burgers and fries, sure, scream comfort food, but there were so many other options that were out there that got me super excited that in the entire week we were there, I had so many different foods and not a single fry. The first time we went to the perfect place for burgers and chips, I had loaded mac and cheese. Because to me, that's the menu item that would have probably freaked me out even more in the past, but that really screamed comfort. That screamed America. That screamed different and exciting and needs to be explored. The second time we went into the stereotypical diner, I had a Crunchwrap Supreme. Because that too sounded pretty New York and super cool and new and exciting and part of that experience. So yes, while we were there, I had so many amazing foods, so many comfort foods, so many foods that in the past would have been off limits. And even though I didn't eat the food that ChatGPT had recommended to me, It wasn't because I had cheated myself out of that experience, but because I was following my intuition and stepping away from that plan, doing what I actually wanted to do. And to me, that is the biggest freedom. Something that in my previous trips to New York, back in 2012 and 2013, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Sure, I'm pretty sure I ate the fries both of those times, but I didn't feel free. I experienced a lot of guilt. I was thinking about food 24/7, whereas this trip felt like an adventure, and I was there for it. So yeah, none of these lunch options, burgers and chips, the Crunchwrap Supreme, mac and cheese, none of these options scream health. As in the past, at the time of my eating disorder, they would have been off limits because I didn't think they were either balanced enough or had enough vegetables, or maybe they had too much fat or salt or whatever the eating disorder decided was the culprit at any one occasion. And sure, you know, there's a lot of convenience around, and it probably wouldn't be the best to have mac and cheese every single day or for every single meal. But the whole point of a very balanced diet and food freedom is starting to tune back into your body and is, well, varied. A big part of recovery is stepping away from that black and white thinking and accepting, acknowledging that entire grey area. Things don't need to be perfect. Things don't need to be all or nothing. I can have the fries, I can have the mac and cheese, I can have the cookies, but sometimes I'll want the broccoli or the salad or the whatever else. There's a balance in that, there's a freedom in that, there's a beauty in that. And it's so much healthier than the eating disorder ever was or ever could have been. Because inevitably, the anorexia, the orthorexia would have reduced my pool of foods. It would have kept me obsessed with food. And over time, really deteriorated my mental and physical health. And that is not healthy. It really isn't. So whatever the eating disorder may tell you, these foods do have a place. And in today's day and age, they're difficult to avoid while also having a social life, traveling, experiencing things. Letting go of that need for control can be life-changing. For snacks, we thought long and hard about what would be the perfect New York food. And we tried a lot of options. We went to Levain's Bakery for the typical chocolate chip cookie. We went to Auntie Anne's for pretzels. I had a good old slice of New York cheesecake. And we went for milkshakes too. Reese's peanut butter cup flavored. Chef's kiss. The options were honestly endless. And the options for food in general were honestly endless. So many good foods, so many good meals. It honestly surprised me. In addition to the chains, we also raided Trader Joe's aisles and found some absolute gems there. My personal favorite were the peanut butter filled pretzels. They were so good, and the perfect travel snack. Go and get yourself some. In recovery, snacks like this can honestly feel super off limits. They can feel unhealthy or even unnecessary, but they're not. Facing your fears is the best and the only way to gain higher ground and to fully kick the eating disorder out. They're also a great way to meet your energy needs and a great way to diversify your intake, to have a regular meal, to tell your body that it is safe. Food doesn't need to fit into specific time slots. It doesn't need to tick specific macronutrient boxes. Food can just be fuel, fun, part of the experience. Eating a candy bar or a cookie or having a milkshake is the best way to tell the eating disorder, I don't need you anymore. I'm allowed to have this food just because it makes me happy, just because I want it. Anyway, is it really a sad diet if it made me this happy? And even if those desserts were 95% sugar, I was and am also 100% on board with that. For dinner, ChatGPT left the door open to a range of options, suggesting things like pizza, mac and cheese, food trucks. And while the food trucks were eliminated from that list right away, it was way too freaking cold, all of the other items were ticked off of that list. We went to lots of diners, spent some time in Little Italy, found some absolute gems in Chinatown as well, and literally had everything, or made a solid effort to. iPizza do a lovely vegan slice, but obviously one slice isn't going to cut it, pun intended. So we then ordered some chicken parmigiano as well, because why choose between the two options if you can have them both? Comfort food never judges you for being indecisive. On other nights we also had lasagna, we had sushi, we had pasta, the sky's the limit. And none of these came with a side of guilt. Dinner in this standard American diet, the quote-unquote typical diet, really leans into comfort, really leans into heartiness, which for me was perfect at this time. Honestly, and so much better than a salad would have been. Because of the weather, because we were walking around lots, because it was holiday and it really felt warming and relaxing. And that's what we wanted and needed. That's what our bodies wanted and needed. Granted, after a few days of very few vegetables, Tom and I both craved more vegetables as well. But that's the beauty of it too, and your body does tell you. In a city like New York, eating the pizza slice, eating at the typical diner, it's as much a cultural experience as it is just a meal. And I'm so glad for my recovery, for allowing myself this freedom, for allowing myself this experience. For dessert, rewind to the snack section. We tried a lot of different things. No regrets there. And I know that especially dessert is oftentimes demonized by society, but it's also one of the joys in life. Recovery really taught me that it's okay to have something sweet to end off the night, just because I want it. No other reason needed. And it's not about earning or making up for those foods either. Your body deserves this. And if every time you eat a cookie, you have to work it off or you have to have done X, Y, or Z to deserve that, that's not communicating to your body, to your brain, that you are worth these things. So cut it out. Have the cookie and sit with it. Over time, it does get easier. Over time, you can get to a place of freedom like this. So whether it's those chain desserts, whether it's the peanut butter pretzel bites at Trader Joe's, or whether it's the New York cheesecake, allowing yourself to indulge in these moments of pleasure without guilt is a huge step in healing your relationship with food. And on that note, I've never actually had a proper cheesecake in my life, but I have made a solid effort to eat lots and lots of vegan cheesecakes. Because anyway, what's a trip to New York without any cheesecake? Illegal. That's what it is. Illegal. You're probably wondering why I followed a sad diet for the day. Why did I go sad? Well, for me, traveling is about taking in all of the culture, all of the experiences, and food is a massive part of that. And being able to enjoy that is a massive part of that. Going up the Rockefeller was awesome, but sitting down for a mac and cheese afterwards was at least as much fun. Or rather, the fact that I could do both is what made it that much fun. Traveling is about being fully present rather than being stuck in my head, and doing the things I enjoy rather than planning what the next meal is going to bring. Eating disorder and travel were never very compatible. Anyway, eating like this on vacation isn't going to make or break my health, and I let myself fully embrace and enjoy that. Sure, if I ate these foods, if I had mac and cheese or chocolate chip cookies every single day at every single meal, I probably wouldn't feel my best. But that said, my body would then take note, oh, I'm not feeling my best. And it might suggest a salad for the next meal. Or, you know, just a bit more fiber. Or some fruit or a smoothie or, you know, whatever else. The body is super clever. And recovery has really taught me that it does tell me what it needs if I choose to tune into it. Sure, that takes practice, that takes time, but it is so worth it. Travel is such a big part of my life now, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Back in the UK now, I've fallen back into my more usual habits. Some vegetables in most of my meals, fruit on most days. But I've had cheesecake since I've been back. I've had pastries, I've had my fair share of chocolate. And that's fine. And falling back on my habits is fine too. I think as long as we're open to being flexible, as long as we eat a varied diet, having some kind of routine is perfectly okay. But don't use that as an excuse to justify the eating disorder and to stay stuck in rigid routines with rigid rules. And you'll know what I'm talking about. For me nowadays, there's no need to fight the routines I naturally fall into. Equally, there's no need to rigidly reinforce those same routines when I'm away and traveling. As I said, my body knows, my body deals. It's pretty clever that way, and so is yours. But yeah, there you have it. A full day of eating sad. And honestly, I was pretty happy about it. The irony is not lost on me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and let me know which of these meals spoke most to you. Which of these meals could you have literally right now? And could you actually go and have it right now? If this video inspired you to let go of food rules, even just a little bit, and if you're still here by the end of this video, comment cheesecake to let me know. Okay, bye, love you.